Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is David Bianco. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a public service announcement to share an experience I had with you recently regarding a purchase of vinyl or a record that I bought. Now this one was a highly coveted one, and it was one that I really wasn't looking for at the time but stumbled across. Well, this was several years ago. And in fact, I didn't really look into it any further until recently. And now I have a story to tell. That's coming up next on the Safe and Sound Texas audio excursion. Well, if you're a Beatles fan, as I am, you probably know all about this record, right? It's the Magical Mystery Tour, but it is the German HORZU version. Now, this version is special because, number one, it's the best sounding one out there. And also, 3 of the primary songs on the record are in true stereo. We didn't have such a luxury with the Capitol release in the US where it was rechanneled stereo. So this is a highly coveted album in terms of finding it and the cost of it. This is several $100s for this album. And I've had one for quite a while. Let's see, I did my sound guard on this. It shows my little label for sound guard. And you can see my sound guard up there. We'll talk about that in a bit. But it is one that I've had since the 70s. And when I got this record, immediately it was obvious to me it was much better than the original. Over time, it's become more obvious exactly how unique it is. At the time, really didn't know the whole story. But this isn't about that aspect of it. This is about a different situation. So I've had this for many, many years and enjoyed it. And it's in excellent shape. I have played it quite a bit, but it sounds really good, partly because SoundGuard was made by Ball Corporation, and it was a spray that you put on to protect the surface of the record. And I can certainly tell you, records that I have from back in the 70s that I use that on really sound every bit as good today as they did when I got them. So I believe in the product and what it did. But what happened to me was when I was in Madrid about 18 months ago for my work engagement, I found one of these in a shop. And you can see was 24 euro, which is, let's say, I don't know, depending on the exchange rate, just round it up, $30, 30 US dollars. So that was a heck of a deal. So I saw this. I actually went out of the store, was done with my purchases, and saw a new arrival bin as I was walking out, turned around, went back in, and then I found this. And I looked at it, and I said, oh, it's very, very clean. I looked to see if anything, was problematic. The only thing I saw, which was really odd, was that side 1, the label said Yellow Submarine. Side 2 had the proper Magical Mystery Tour side 2. So that was really odd. So I checked the dead wax on it and found that it matched on side 1. It matched what I had in the dead wax, and saw that it was in fact Magical Mystery Tour and not Yellow Submarine, and realized it was just a labeling error. So I went to the counter and quickly bought this thing and was glad for it and listened to it. Just listened to a few songs on it. I had my original, and I kind of put it up and didn't say anything about it, except that I kind of said on my channel, boy, I found one of these out in the wild. I can't believe how inexpensive it was. And so life goes on. And in the recent past here, I've gotten to know another person here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that I've talked to you about. And this was one of the coveted albums that he had wanted. So knowing that, he'd kind of let me know that he had an interest possibly in buying one of mine if I was willing to part with one. And I had never really thought about it, but I thought, hey, these are hard to get hold of. This is someone that I'd love to see get their hands on this. I know they would enjoy it and keep it and not flip it. So I started to do a little bit of research into it. And so I dug a little bit more into the second version that I had picked up in Spain. And in doing so, there were some oddities. Of course, the label, as I said, was unique. I had actually submitted a Discogs entry to put that one on there specifically because of that yellow submarine misprint on the label. But in looking at the dead wax, the odd thing is that typically these records have an A1 on the side 1 and B3 on the side 2. And on this one, it was A1 on side 1, but B with nothing on side 2. And that seemed odd, but I guess I really never gave it a second thought. But in this case, I was going to compare my original to this second one to see if there was any sound difference or sonic differences in it, because I'd never really done that. And so what I decided to do to be able to kind of do it quickly, I went and digitized side 2 on each of the LPs. And while the second one was playing, which was the one that I got in Spain, I was working and it was playing, and it got to the end of Baby You're a Rich Man, or it seemed like Baby You're a Rich Man, and it skipped right into All You Need Is Love, as if Baby You're a Rich Man ended abruptly, improperly. So it really didn't quite sound like a skipped, but it skipped to the next song. It was almost like it ended without reason. So I let it go ahead and finish digitizing, and I went and then put the needle back and dropped it toward the end of Baby You're a Rich Man. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. This copy had a version of Baby You're a Rich Man that was, I don't even want to say edited, because it isn't a clean edit or anything like that. It just ends and then goes on to the next song. So obviously I knew I had a problem here. I also noticed when playing the two side by side to compare the sound quality that this second copy was in fact a louder, noisier vinyl. The vinyl was actually thicker, like about 180 gram type thick, as opposed to the original, which was like maybe 140-ish. Not flimsy, but not quite as thick. And so that seemed odd. And in looking at the jacket to the two, I realized that the original, the jacket was kind of flimsy in a way, which is not uncommon for those German pressings of the day, whereas this second copy, the cardboard was a bit stiffer and a little more robust. So there were some differences there. So I dug a little further, started to do a little more research, and then I also talked to the person that was interested and let him know and said, yeah, this is what I'm experiencing it. And turned out, yes, there is a version or two on Discogs in the user comments where people talk about this situation. They actually have outlined what happens. They show you a picture of the dead wax difference, and they give you a small audio clip of it as well. The other thing I found is that when you play these side by side, the songs tend to go right into each other on the original with very little, if any, gap between them. Whereas this secondary one I got in Spain has a 5 to 6 second silence between songs, which is usually quote unquote normal, but certainly didn't match it. And how I found out was the second song that I was playing, when it got to it, the one from the counterfeit didn't start as quickly as the original did. And so they got out of sync very quickly after the first song. So all I can say about this second copy is
fake, 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 fake.
Yeah, that's right. Fake. It's a fake.
I'm stunned. I'm shocked.
And I come to understand a lot of these fakes are out there, and a lot of them are in Europe. And it is a, quote, known problem. Well, it became known to me a little late in the game, but it wasn't a huge cost or investment. And it does sound decent. I mean, it's not quite as crisp as the original, and the noise of the vinyl's distracting as well. So yeah, it's not really something that you'd want to call any kind of audiophile record whatsoever, let alone the fact that you have a part of a song that's literally missing. And a fairly significant portion of it, 20 plus seconds of the ending of that song, are missing. So buyer beware is all I can say. That A1, B3 is what you want to look for. If B has no number on it, it's probably a fake. And if the heavy vinyl is there, the heavier vinyl, then that's a warning sign as well. And the wax is kind of shiny in a way. It's almost too clean looking in a way. Another telltale sign on side A, which is again going to look the same being in A1, but in fact the dead wax on the fake is very big. It's a very large area of dead wax, where on the original it's relatively small area. So that's another indicator on side A that you have a fake. So if you're desperate to hear what the stereo version sounds like, okay, but it's not the original HORZU. And so you've got to watch out for this. Again, the covers do have a difference, and I show you that in the corner. So the corner here that has the HORZU, this particular one is shown like this, whereas the original, and there are some that have like just looks like an apple, you know, like up here with the apple, up in here is just apple, but most of them have this yellow HORZU that are the original good ones, so to speak. So as always, it's buyer beware, right? You're never too old to learn something. And the old saying, if it seems too good to be true, comes back to bite us in the keister. Some things never change. Well, thanks for watching this. I hope you learned something. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so by clicking on the bell below. And a like or thumbs up is appreciated, as are any of your comments. So here we have an example of a learning, something that kind of got burned, but it certainly wasn't the most expensive burn I've ever had. So until we catch you next time on the Safe and Sound Texas Audio Excursion, take care, everybody.